and welcome to AJ Belucoff's first ever telephone town hall. I am Marie Hadaway, AJ's campaign manager, and I'm going to be your host for tonight's program. I am joined also with our interim communication director, Matt Erpelding, tonight, and of course, AJ Belucoff. For the first 3 minutes of this telephone town hall, people are going to be joining. If we were doing this live, it would be much like me asking people to take their seats. So you're going to have to bear with me as we repeat some instructions and comments. So let me give you an idea of how a telephone town hall works if you've never participated in one. This program is about 60 minutes long, and it's going to operate much like a radio show. In just a moment, I'm going to turn the mic over to AJ, and he's going to talk about why he's running and what he's hearing from Idahoans as he travels. If at any point during the call you would like to ask a question, you may press 0. You will be then directed to one of our support staff who is going to take your name, your city, and your question. And then they'll put you in the queue, and you will have an opportunity to ask AJ your question live. Again, if you're just joining this call, welcome. This is AJ's first ever telephone town hall. If you would like to ask a question of AJ tonight, please press 0. You will then be directed to one of our support staff, and we have 6 people here tonight to help take your calls. If you don't get right to a support staff, just be patient. Someone will get there. You'll have an opportunity to tell them their name, your city, and your question tonight. These telephone town halls by no means replace meet and greets, which we do as we travel throughout Idaho. AJ has traveled over 30 of Idaho's 44 counties since we started, and he's enjoying all that he is seeing in Idaho and meeting and hearing. And if you have a question for AJ and you would like to ask a question, press 0, and you'll be directed to one of our support staff. So I am just going to go ahead and dive right in. It looks like we have a good number of people who've already joined the call, several hundred of people across Idaho. So I think this is a great opportunity to go ahead and introduce to you your gubernatorial candidate, your Democratic gubernatorial candidate, AJ Belucoff. So AJ, welcome to your first ever telephone town hall. If you'd like to just start and talk to our guest tonight, tell them a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
Okay, thank you, Marie. And before we start, let me just thank the volunteers that are helping out with this, making this telephone town hall possible. I'd like to thank Matt Erpelding for stepping in and being our interim communications director while Mike is on vacation. And I'd also like to just thank the listeners for making this a successful town hall. Before we begin, I want to have the listeners do a little poll.
Those are always fun.
Yeah, and so anyway, here's what we're going to do. I want you to tell me what you think is the most important issue facing our state. So if you think it's education, press 1. If you think it's the economy, press 2. If it's government and trust and transparency, press 3. If it's public lands, press 4. If it's something else, press 5. And again, that's 1 for education, 2 for the economy, 3 for government transparency, 4 for public lands, 5 for something else. Now that's going to take a little bit of time before we get the results, but once we do, I'd like to maybe share some of those results with you. And then in the meantime, introduce myself and tell a little about my background. I'm an accountant. I graduated with a degree in accounting. I practiced as a certified public accountant for about 25 years. Along the way, I also purchased a chain of 3 athletic clubs in Boise, Idaho. Operated those for several years before I sold them to a national chain. And then some partners and I built the Grove Hotel, CenturyLink Arena, and we started the Idaho Steelheads hockey team here in Boise. in addition to being involved in business, I've been very involved in our community by serving on a large number of nonprofit boards of directors, including things like the St. Luke's Hospital Board, the Boise School District, the Boise Public Library Board, the Opera Board, the Ballet Board, Philharmonic Board, and so forth. I'm married to my wife, Susie. We have 8 children that are all grown and 30 grandchildren. And, people ask me, you've been in business, you're a businessman, you've not really been a politician. Why are you running for governor? Well, I'll tell you. Number one, as a trustee on the Boise School Board and as the parent and grandparent of lots of students, I've been very concerned about the state of public education in our state. And I need this to, I think we all want this to turn around and strive for excellence. Number two, the reason for running is our economy. And, I think the state of our economy is a reflection of where our public schools are. So with that, let me turn this back to Marie to maybe if we have some questions from the people, the participants here.
Excellent. Thank you. I just want to remind people, if they have a question for AJ tonight, to please press 0 to ask a question. It looks like we're getting a few questions coming through, but we really want to hear from as many of you as possible. So please press 0 if you have a question. Also, AJ did ask people, he's doing a quick straw poll, and he wants to know what you think is the number one priority, the number one issue facing Idaho at this time. And quickly, I'm going to give you those options, and then we are going to close that poll. So if you'd like to weigh in on this, we want to make sure you have an opportunity. So the question is, what do you think is the number one issue facing Idaho? Press 1 if you think it's education. Press 2 if you think it's economy. Press 3 if you think it's government, trust, transparency. Press 4 if you think it's an issue with public land. Press 5 if you think it's another issue not mentioned here. And again, press 0 if you would like to ask a question. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this conversation going because I know AJ wants to hear more from you than he wants to hear from me. So the first question, I'm going to call out your name and your city, and then I'm going to put you live. So I have Kenneth Romney from Twin Falls, Idaho. That's Kenneth Romney from Twin Falls, Idaho. I have a little technical difficulty here. Kenneth Romney, can you hear me?
Let's see, would that be me?
Yes, you're on.
Okay. Okay, that's not my name, but that's okay. I have...
I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem. My question is about the education, the teacher wages. I have a lot of friends who are teachers, and the teacher wages here are low compared to states around, particularly maybe Washington or Wyoming. I wonder, do they have resources that we don't have? Or do they put more importance on it than we do? What is the reason for that being low?
That's a great
question. How can we solve that problem?
Yeah, that's a great question. Would you mind stating your first name?
Heidi.
Heidi. Okay, thank you, Heidi. Heidi, I'm going to let AJ answer that question.
Okay, Heidi, thank you for the question. The states around us do pay the teachers more than Idaho does. As I've traveled around the state, I've tried to talk to superintendents of school districts, and the schools on both of our borders are losing teachers to the surrounding states because they do pay more than Idaho. And I think part of that is the priority that we have placed, the differences in priority that states place on education. We've watched our legislature cut education funding, and that has become very difficult for school districts. And so we have school districts all over the state that have been forced to pass supplemental levies, and taxpayers, voters in school districts have voted to provide funding to keep from laying off teachers and to keep from cutting programs in their district. So now, today, we have 94 school districts with supplemental levies that kind of reflect, the people's priority, which doesn't seem to line up with the legislative and governor's priority, who have cut education funding and kept our teacher salaries near the bottom in the entire United States.
Well said. We're going to go ahead and take some other questions. I thank you, Heidi. Just so you know, once you've spoken your question and you've had a little bit of dialogue at the beginning, you will go back into the rest of the program. So I want to remind our people who are joining the call, if you would like to ask AJ a question, to press 0. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, we want to hear from you, please press 0. I'm going to go ahead and just go right on to another question if you'd like one, AJ.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is one that we get quite a bit. I'm sorry. Can you everyone hear me? The next question is coming from Ken in Chubbuck. Ken in Chubbuck, if you'd like to go ahead and ask AJ your question.
Hi, that's not the person that I am. There must be some technical difficulties, but my name is Rachel in Boise. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Rachel. Thank you.
Okay, my question has to do with prison reform. Right now, there are people in prison waiting to take classes that they've been mandated to take by the parole board before they get out. Some of these people have been in prison an extra year before they're even getting into the classes. In the particular case I'm talking about, a girlfriend's son had a parole target date of February 4th, and he still is sitting in prison and still waiting for the program to be offered so that he can get out. And it's even a program that he's already had at another institution, but they want him to have it at this particular institution. So I think it'd be cheaper to offer the programs and get these guys through them and get them out so that we're not paying for them to be in prison. I just wanted to know your ideas on this and on prison reform in general.
Okay, thank you. It's a great question. I think the way we start addressing that is first of all, end the private prison contract and take that back into the Department of Corrections, where we can concentrate and have an incentive to provide the education and rehabilitation services that many of the inmates need to have to be able to return to society, support their families, and be productive members of our communities. Now, a great number, probably close to 80% of the prisoners are in there for substance abuse issues and mental health issues that have led them to commit a crime, and so we really need to provide those kinds of rehabilitation services that will help them overcome the problem that was a significant factor in committing the crime. So I think we need some sentencing reforms for the nonviolent offenses and a better education and rehabilitation program in our prison system. I also think we need to take a look at the parole system. There was a report issued earlier this year that cited some statistics that said that Idaho keeps prisoners beyond their fixed term at a greater rate than almost any other state in the United States. And I think we can, if we concentrate on education and rehabilitation services, we can end that and hopefully bring the prison population down sooner.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're going to go, we did get the results back from the poll that we did earlier. And so if you've been in anticipation of that, I wanted to go ahead and share those with you. And I think this is actually pretty reflective of what AJ's hearing as we travel through the state. And the top reason, or the top issue that people believe is facing Idaho right now is education, followed quickly by economy, government transparency, then public lands, and miscellaneous issues. So if you've been waiting to hear that full, now you have it.
And Marie, I would just mention that I've traveled all around the state, as far north as Bonners Ferry and down to Malad, over to Victor and Driggs, and over on the west to Payette and Council, and every big city in between. And that's exactly what I'm hearing as I talk to people. Education seems to be the top issue for most people, followed closely by economy and jobs. And then there's just a lot of concern expressed about cronyism and government trust.
Yeah. I think we had some little technical difficulties earlier getting people's questions through, but I think we have fixed that. So I would like to now invite Ken Jones from Chubbuck, Idaho, to ask his question. Ken, can you hear us?
Anybody there? Hello.
Me? Hello.
Hi, Ken, can you hear us? I guess we didn't resolve those issues. It is our first ever telephone town call. We'll get better. And will you please go ahead and share your question?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Ken. Yes, we can hear you, Ken.
Okay. My question is, AJ, if you're elected governor, would you accept the Medicaid expansion?
Oh, absolutely. You know, that makes financial sense and it makes moral sense. Right now, our state, between the county indigent care funds and the state catastrophic fund, is paying somewhere between $80 and $90 million a year to care for people who show up at emergency rooms without insurance. And if we were to expand Medicaid coverage so that it covers the people under the federal poverty level, the federal government said that for the first 3 years they would have picked up 100% of that cost. We've burned at least a year of that, so we won't get that now. But after that 3-year period, the federal government will pick up 90% of the cost. And that frees up a lot of state tax dollars to be used for other purposes, perhaps tax relief, perhaps education, or other needs that the counties have, perhaps maintaining roads and bridges. That would be left up to us. I think we are just leaving money on the table by not expanding the definition of Medicaid eligibility. And then, of course, the other reason is it would cover somewhere between 70 and 100,000 Idahoans who currently do not have insurance. And that's just a matter of justice, I think, to do that.
Okay. All right, so I think we're going to go straight to our next question, who I believe is Michelle from Eagle. Let's see if I've gotten this right. Michelle from Eagle, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Woo! Welcome.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Well, my question is, I was wondering, I'm really interested in the Common Core changes that they're making right now. And I know there's several people, there's a lot of debate on whether this is going to be good or not good. But there are several people who feel like that are, although Idaho always there was room for improvement, that this curriculum may take us backwards and mostly just cost us a lot of money without adding the real improvement that Idaho is looking for. And I just wanted to find out what his position on the Common Core is and how he plans to help make sure our state doesn't incur massive expenses without very much progress in education.
Okay, great. I'm glad you asked that question because I do get the question about Common Core in most places in the state. The Common Core is meant to replace the standards we've been using under the federal No Child Left Behind laws. The sentiment behind that law of not leaving any child behind is a great sentiment, but in order to accomplish that, many states, including Idaho, set the standards very, very low. And I believe we did a disservice to students and parents because when we said they were at grade level, everybody assumed that meant they were prepared to go to college or to some other post-high school education program and be successful. And we learned that that was not true. And several other states learned that was not true. So the governors got together and engaged some education organizations, principally the College Board, which owns the SAT test, the ACT organization, which owns the ACT test, another education organization called Achieve, and asked them to help write standards that would prepare kids to be successful for education after high school. So those groups went through and engaging other educators, wrote some standards and said, these are the standards that and there were standards for every grade beginning at kindergarten right through 12th grade. And if the kids master those standards, they will be prepared and have a great chance of success after high school. Those were known as Common Core State Standards. Idaho legislature adopted those standards in 2010. And, we didn't do much with them until this year when they were required to be implemented. And the standards themselves are very good, and I'm in favor of those higher standards. The problem in our state is there has been virtually no support from the State Department of Education in implementing those standards by helping school districts write curriculum, identify the textbooks and other resources, and providing professional development for the teachers so they would know how to teach to those standards. And I think if we were to give the high support for the high standards, that will help our kids be very successful. So I'm very much in favor of the higher standards.
Okay. I want to just let everybody know, if you have a question for AJ Belukoff tonight, just press 0. We are about halfway through our program, so there's still opportunity for you to get a question in. Again, press 0 if you'd like to ask AJ a question. And I will just remind everyone who's listening that we have a lot of AJ's answers on our website, which is ajsforidaho.com. So feel free, as you hear if you like what you're hearing about AJ and want to share that with your friends and family, send them to our website. We also engage people pretty well through our social media. We have a Facebook page, of course. So if you are on Facebook and would like to share news about AJ, like us on Facebook. It's AJ for Idaho. And it's, any comments that you want to send our way, you can hit hashtag, which is the # AJ for Idaho. We'll see those, and we'd love to interact with you that way as well. This doesn't have to be the only way that we interact. Also, if you would like to get involved in the campaign, you can go. We're going to go do a quick way to do this. You just need to press 1. So if you'd like to volunteer, press 1 on your phone, and somebody will be in touch with you shortly. Also, if you would like to contribute to the campaign, go ahead and you can press 2 if you'd like to donate. We have some great opportunities right now for people to get involved. We have this great way where you can go and actually talk to your neighbors directly, doing lit and helping us find yard signs. That's called our Neighborhood Leader Program. If that sounds like something you'd like to do, you can go ahead and press 3. So again, we're looking for volunteers in general. You're willing to do whatever we ask, go ahead and press 1. If you would like to donate, press 2. If you would like to talk directly to your neighbors about AJ, press 3. So go ahead and hit that, and while you guys decide what you want to do with your free time, we will go ahead and take another question. This one is from Cynthia of Boise. Let's see if I figured this out by now. Cynthia of Boise, you have a question about minimum wage. Can you hear us? Oh, excellent. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, AJ. This is Cynthia from Boise. If
Hi,
elected
Cynthia.
governor, would you fight for and vote for the federal minimum wage to be raised?
Yes, I think it's high time we did raise the minimum wage. And beyond that, I would also be in favor of indexing whatever we end up setting it at, is indexing it to inflation so that we don't have to have this kind of a discussion every few years about whether or not we should raise the minimum wage.
Pretty straightforward. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take another question. Before I hit that, I want to remind people that there is an opportunity for you to ask your question. So please press 0 if you'd like to ask a question. If you'd like to volunteer on the campaign, press 1. If you'd like to make a donation to the campaign, press 2. You can also go to our website to do any of these things. And if you would like to be a neighborhood leader, that is talking to your neighbors and getting them engaged and excited about the campaign, press 3. Okay, so the next question I have is from, this one is from Tracy of Caldwell. Tracy, are you there?
Yes.
I think we.
Oh, yeah, that's Tracy. Okay, go ahead. Hi.
How are you doing? Hey, I'd like to know
what
your stance is on the legalization of marijuana, such as what Oregon, Washington, Wyoming, and all the other states have done. The amount of revenue that they're turning in. What's your stance on that and feelings about that for the state of Idaho?
Well, we're trying to get people to stop smoking tobacco, and I hate to give them another option to smoke something else that we don't know what may cause health issues and all the way from cancer, emphysema, and so forth. I also get the question about legalizing marijuana and for medical purposes, and I think that if we want to do that, we should have the FDA go through its regular battery of tests, and if it's approved, let doctors write prescriptions for it. They can currently have the ability to write prescriptions for substances that are a lot more addictive and harmful than marijuana. So I think if there's some medical benefits to it, that the FDA could run their trial tests like they do for any other medication, then we ought to be able to write prescriptions for it.
Okay, I want to remind everybody again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I want to encourage everyone to press 0 if they have any questions as they come through. Also, if you'd like to volunteer, press 1 on your phone. If you'd like to make a donation, press 2. If you'd like to be a neighborhood leader and help spread the word in your neck of the woods, please press 3. Also, if you like what you're hearing tonight and want to help spread the word on some social media sites like Facebook, go ahead, like us on Facebook. You can also put your comments with the hashtag AJ4Idaho. Again, that's hashtag AJ4Idaho. Social media is just a great way to help get the word out about AJ, and we need people who like what they're hearing to help spread the word. So we hope that you will all encourage to carry the torch forward after tonight's call. Okay, we are going to go to Rob in Meridian. Rob in Meridian would like to talk a little bit about partisanship a little bit. So, Rob, are you on the call?
I am on
Rob
the
from Meridian. Oh, hi, Rob. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my question. There's been some talk in the past that you're a Republican and that now you're running as a Democrat, and whether or not you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. So could you comment on that, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. First of all, prior to about a year ago, I was never affiliated with a political party. I was an independent and unaffiliated. And in my past, I have supported and contributed to both Republicans and Democrats. I've always paid more attention to the candidate than to the party, and looking at things like the person's experience, their integrity, their philosophy, and whoever I thought would do the better job. As a certified public accountant, I've also served as the campaign treasurer for a number of candidates, again from both parties, Republicans and Democrats. When it came time to, when I decided I would run for governor, I registered as a Democrat. So that's the first time I've been affiliated with a political party.
All right. Okay. Again, I'm going to remind people if they would like to ask AJ a question to press 0. Press 0 if you'd like to ask a question. 1 if you'd like to volunteer. Press 2 if you'd like to donate. Press 3 if you'd like to be a neighborhood leader. Again, all of these options are available on our website, ajforidaho.com. Take a look, and there's a wealth of information on our website and a great way to contact the campaign and tell us what you'd like to do or any questions that you have. Okay, I am going to put on, looks like you have a couple questions on this one. It's on wolves in Idaho. We'll take the hard questions. Wolves in Idaho. Looks like Ina Hartz of Boise.
Oh, good evening.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
We can.
I'm very concerned, and I fight very hard to keep our wilderness lands pristine and natural the way they should be. And it has been such a troubling ordeal with Governor Otter having this idea that pretty much a dead wolf is the only good wolf. He's decimating the population, wanting to use $400,000 of taxpayer money to get them down to 150. And I would like to know what your feelings are towards our wilderness, towards our wolves, and keeping it healthy. And we need them for healthy forests and healthy herds.
Okay, thank you for that question. I love the outdoors and the wilderness. I love to hike in the mountains and down in the desert, and I love seeing the animals that are there. When we have a divisive issue like the wolves, my approach is to get people together and listen to one another and talk through and propose a solution. There should be a way for us to be able to manage the wolves and allow farmers and ranchers to protect their livestock without decimating the wolf population. I'm not in favor of a special wolf commission. I think our Fish and Game Department currently manages other predators. I think they have the biologists and wildlife experts that know how to manage different populations, and I think it ought to be their responsibility to manage the wolf population.
Okay, thank you. It looks like we're getting quite a bit more questions coming through, so thank you to everybody who is participating. If you would like to ask AJ a question, press 0. Also, if you'd like to volunteer on the campaign, press 1. If you'd like to donate, press 2. And if you would like to become a neighborhood leader and take on the responsibility of talking to people about AJ in your neck of the woods, please press 3. Okay, so we are going to go to the next call in our queue, who comes from Middleton. His name is Mike. Mike, can you hear us? Mike from Middleton.
Okay.
Has a question about EPA standards, right?
Okay.
Hi, Mike. Did you have a question about the EPA standards?
I do. Part of the present governor's campaign is he's running on the I Fought the EPA. Water quality, air quality, all the qualities of life are part of the EPA, but there is also jobs involved. Would you be for stronger environmental protections, even if it causes a loss of jobs?
Well, I think that we can protect our water and air without costing a lot of jobs, I believe. Idaho is one of the few states that the state Department of Environmental Quality does not do the management. Where in Idaho, the EPA comes in, the federal EPA comes in and does that kind of management. I think if what we ought to be working for is having our state-run Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, managing the water and the clean air and protecting our environment. I think there's ways to do that without costing jobs.
Okay. The next question is another question from Meridian. It's been a pretty hot topic, guns on campus and school safety. I would like Mike from Meridian to come on and ask his question. He has a question about school safety.
Yeah, I do. Over the past several years, we've seen a lot of increases in dangerous shootings and emergencies that are taking place at schools, and it seems as though there's always a lot of flurry right after the event. And in our state, we appointed a school safety czar and put together a commission, and then it seems like there's not much outgrowth that comes from that. A lot of the recommendations just seem to go unheeded. What are your thoughts on that? Representative Horman put forth a idea for a safety center last year, and it seemed to just get bogged down in the mire of the politics. What's your strategy moving forward to keep our kids safe?
Well, I think that if we want to reduce gun violence and those kinds of tragedies, we need to have better mental health services and intervention. Most of the gun violence have their roots in mental health issues, and if we can strengthen and beef up our mental health services, especially in our schools, where we can early identify kids who have those kinds of issues and intervene early and prevent the violence in the first place, that would be the best approach to do that. I was not in favor of the guns on campus bill. I don't believe having more people carrying guns on college campuses is going to make them safer.
Okay. If you have a question for AJ, press 0. We've got about 15 minutes, and we've got quite a few questions going through, but we're going to try to get to as many as we possibly can. I will say that if we don't get to your question tonight, please know that it's in our system, and we will give you a call back and talk to you directly about the issues that you are facing Idaho.
And I'll just mention, you can also ask questions on our website, ajforidaho.com. We do have a frequently asked questions page, and you can always submit questions, and we'll answer them through that campaign website, too.
Yeah, and that's been a really fun. We've been taking the questions that come through. If we get more than 4 or 5 people asking the same question, we know that a lot of people have that question. So we are putting it on our frequently asked question page on ajforidaho.com. Okay, we're going to go to Maria from Payette. Maria from Payette, can you hear us? You have a question around education, is that right?
Yes. I was wondering if, in the future, if teachers are required to take classes like for special needs children or just hyper children that have no problem, what kind of classes would be good for them to take so they can be able to identify with the problem instead of making different suggestions. Some make suggestions taking the child to the doctor and putting them on pill. I can't remember what it's called, Ritalin, or I can't remember what the pill's name is. But this is, just concerns. What kind of classes are they required to take in order for them to be able to identify the problem?
Excellent question. Sure. And I'm glad you asked the question because, we have teachers, special education teachers that have special training to deal with children that have issues. But one of the problems we're having in our district now is related to the funding cuts. And, we don't have the kind of the numbers of school counselors that we once had that can help the teachers identify those problems and help the parents get the proper kind of interventions and treatments that will help those children be successful in school and successful with their peers. So I think part of the solution is not necessarily more classes for the teachers, but although that probably is because continuing, professional development is important for teachers, and that, ultimately the answer is the appropriate funding so that we can have the school counselors and that we can provide the professional development for teachers as problems develop.
Okay. We have about 10 minutes left for tonight's first telephone town hall. I will tell people that this will not be our only telephone town hall. So please stay engaged in the campaign, and we will make sure that you're put on alert when we do our next one. So we have over hundreds of people on tonight's call from all over the state, and I want to go to probably our most northern city, Bonners Ferry. Such a fun place to visit. I have Delia from Bonners Ferry who is on the call and would like to ask a question about teachers and their role in your campaign.
Hi, AJ.
Delia, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, AJ. I met you when you came to Bonners Ferry. Thank you for coming all the way up here. When you were here at our meeting, you made the statement that the Idaho State Constitution says that all districts should be given equal support from the state when it comes to education, but in fact that is not happening. And so it's as if, I don't think this is a specific law. I don't know that. I think it was just the Constitution that says that. And what can you do if you're elected to try to ensure that some of the poorer districts get more money from the state for education?
Yes, what you're referring to is in the Idaho Constitution. It charges the legislature with the responsibility of establishing and maintaining a general, uniform, and thorough system of, in their words, free common schools, which basically means a uniform and thorough public education system around the state, so that it shouldn't matter where a child lives, they should have an equal educational opportunity. Prior to 2006, when Governor Risch did a tax shift, we had a funding formula that recognized the differences in districts around the state, the economies of scale of large districts. It recognized the disadvantages of districts that didn't have much market value, and the funding formula equalized the distribution and made up for those differences. That went away with the Governor Risch tax shift in 2006. And since then, there's been more and greater disparity between school districts. We need to make sure that we have stable, predictable funding, and that there's an equalization so that the smaller rural districts that don't have the economies of scale and don't have the market value that some of the larger urban districts have the funding so they can provide the same kind of educational opportunities that you get in the larger, wealthier districts.
And I know that Bonners Ferry is one of those school districts, and we're seeing this often, that has gone to a 4-day school week. And when we were up in Bonners Ferry, we talked to a lot of people up there and their concerns for that. Certainly, there is no school district that goes to a 4-day school week because they can't afford it. Okay, so anyway, we've got about 10 minutes left, and we have time for maybe 2 or 3 more questions. It looks like we have Rainey Perlman from Boise. Rainey, you've got a lot of questions that came through. We only have time for one, So if you'll think about it before I make you live here, Rainey from Boise, what's your one question for AJ tonight?
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Rainey.
Hello.
Hi. I'm here.
Hi there.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Well, I had a series of questions about education, but I think I can probably do more by corresponding on Facebook with you. The one question that I do have is, would you support marriage equality in the state of Idaho?
Yes, the Judge Dale ruled on that not too long ago, and found that Idaho's ban on same-sex marriage violates the United States Constitution, and I believe that ruling is correct. And I had issued a statement saying that I thought it was a waste of taxpayer money to appeal that, because I don't believe that decision will be reversed by the United States Supreme Court.
Okay, we are going to go to our Pocatello. We have Marion, who's got a great question about putting some vocational programs into our school. Marion, can you hear us?
Hi, this is Marion. I would like to know if you're able to put some more vocational classes in high schools or junior colleges, and if we can keep the tuition down in colleges so that the children can afford them. We're not going to have brain surgeons, all of us, and all of our children, and so we need to get something that they can make a living with so that they are not thrown back on the community to help support their lifestyle.
Yes. Many of the high schools do have those vocational programs already. I know in the Boise School District we have the Dennis Professional Technical Center where kids can study a lot of different technical professions, from auto body, welding, and just a lot of different topics. 5 school districts over in Canyon County and Owyhee County have banded together to form another similar professional technical school called CASA that does the same kind of thing. And I know the College of Western Idaho provides very similar classes, and they are working on transitions from the high school setting into the community college setting. Over in your area, over in Idaho Falls, you got the Eastern Idaho Technical College that again provides many of those technical professions and allows the students to get the training. And I agree with you. We need to bring college tuition down and make it affordable to students. They are public institutions, and again, I think the constitutional mandate doesn't say anything about limiting the responsibility at 12th grade.
Excellent. Okay, we have time for one more question, and there are just a few more ahead of these. But I think this is a great way to end this telephone town hall. So I am going to go to Ben from Boise, and he has a question about working together. But before I send Ben on, I want to remind people, if they would like to volunteer in the campaign, to please press 1. If they would like to donate, please press 2. If they would like to become a neighborhood leader and help spread the word of AJ to people in your neck of the woods, press 3. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to Ben in Boise for our last question. I will say that if you didn't have an opportunity to get your questions answered, we will call you back with your answer. There will be an opportunity after the call for you to leave a message. We will listen to all those messages and have someone from the campaign call you back. So the last question is from Ben in Boise. Ben?
Yes, I'm. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, I've been listening and reading in the news a lot about the Republican Party and the arguments that are going on in terms of they have difficulty identifying a platform. They seem to have difficulty establishing leadership. I know that often the Democrats are excluded from opportunities to be parts of committees, and there's such dissension and so much ill will seemingly generated between the two parties, and I'm wondering what can be done or what you feel that you can do that will bring the parties together to move toward things that most of us really want our state to be very successful and to be progressive and do things that attend to all of our students and citizens' needs.
Yes, I think you've identified a problem that exists not only in Idaho but at the national level also. We really need to bring parties together. That's what I've been able to do in business and in my nonprofit community service work, is differences of opinion, and we need to hear those different opinions in a respectful, dignified way, try to understand other people's points of view, look for a common ground, come together to pick solutions that will serve the needs of the people. And we need to remember why people are serving in elective office in the legislature and in the statewide offices. That's to serve the people of Idaho. That should be the driving reason for making the laws that we make and doing the things we do. And getting reelected should be of secondary importance.
Well said. All right, well, that concludes AJ's first ever telephone town hall. I will remind people one last chance. If they'd like to volunteer, to press 1. If they'd like to donate, to press 2. If they'd like to spread the word in their neighborhood about AJ, press 3. Also, Facebook is a great opportunity to engage in conversation. Also, if you want to contact the campaign and learn more about AJ, visit our website, ajforidaho.com. If you like what you've heard tonight, please help us spread the word about AJ. What we know is that when people learn about him and what he has, his straightforward thinking and how he presents issues, they like what they hear, and we have a great opportunity to change the leadership in Idaho. We hope that you agree. If you did not have an opportunity to have your question answered, please stay on the line, and then there's going to be some prompts to leave a voicemail, and someone from the campaign will call you back. We will be doing more of these telephone town halls down the road, so we look forward to talking with you a little bit more in this way. So if you have feedback on how we can do this better, of course we had some technical difficulties, so thank you for bearing with us while we do that, but we'd love to hear your feedback. We've got 4 months, and we have plenty of opportunity to engage in more conversation, so we look forward to that. And of course we will be in your neck of the woods likely before the season ends, so look for us in your neighborhood. Thank you so much for joining the telephone town hall for AJ Belukoff. Thank you.